Here we are in Jerrabomberra Wetlands, which is an amazing wetland in the middle of the ACT in Australia. Just adjacent to Canberra, this wetland was formed when Lake Burley-Griffin was filled in 1963-64. And what happened at the back end of the lake, this swampy area was created, and it's made an amazing area for birds. It's also a fantastic place to go bird watching because the local park service has put in trails and hides where we can actually see the birds. Okay, so here in Jerrabomberra Wetlands, it's been set up really well for bird watchers. There's a number of access points. One is off Derry Flat Road to the west of the reserve, and another one is from the Kingston Foreshore area. There are tracks and trails that you can walk into that then loop through the reserve. There's convenient car parking places on Derry Flat Road and also at the Kingston Foreshore end and along the old suburb, the Causeway. So it's easy to park next to. We get gulls here. You can hear the gulls flying over at the moment. There's nesting gulls out in Lake Burley-Griffin at the moment, and yes, they do occur in the wetland. Another feature of Jerrabomberra Wetlands that you might not know if you're a visitor to Canberra is that it's located in an area where there's a group of very nice coffee shops and cafes, both on the eastern side and the western side of the reserve. It's also located in an area of the city that has some quite interesting historical features. It's adjacent to Duntroon, which of course is the Royal Military College, which is right on the edge of the Molonglo River, which is the river that was dammed to form the wetlands. And the wetlands themselves were an area that was used during the preparations for soldiers going to the First World War to build trenches and practice trenches before they went to those terrible war zones in Western Europe. One of the things I really like about Jerrabomberra Wetlands are these reed beds. Now, we have plenty of ponds, we have plenty of stream areas, but these reed beds are fabulous for some particularly unusual species of birds, like cisticolas, like reed warblers, and like tawny grass birds. The trouble with reeds, of course, is they're often difficult to get close to the birds. But here at Jerrabomberra, we have these wonderful decks that you can walk around and be very close to the reed beds and move around quietly. When you hear the birds, you can often get quite close to them. So this is a great spot for watching some of those harder to see reed bed birds. So here I am at Jerrabomberra Wetlands, and I've just been in the hide there. That particular one is called Ardea, A-R-D-E-A, which is the genus name for herons. And it's a great spot for watching herons. And these hides, which are scattered all around Jerrabomberra Wetlands, some of them have a roof on them and sides, so you can actually be completely concealed and just look out through the slats. And others have a different design where they're just a screen. But there are many of these hides. And not only are they concealed from the wetland by some timber structures around the hides, but as you can see here, there's vegetation all around. So it means that the birds can't see you approaching. And I notice on this particular hide, there's a sign saying, you know, be quiet as you approach, because often with young people, they get very enthusiastic and they'll run into these places, keen to see what they can see. But of course, the trick with these places is to approach quietly and sit in the seats inside quietly and then look out without too much movement. And that way you'll maximize your ability to see birds using these hides, or this one or many of the others that are scattered around Jerrabomberra Wetlands. So here I am in one of the hides at Jerrabomberra Wetlands. This is a great hide because it's got support here for your arms so you can watch with your binoculars. Also, you can pop your camera on a spot like this. One of the things when you're in a hide is not to project anything out of the hole or the slat in the hide, because that can be seen by the birds outside. Because we're inside in the dark, they can't see the movement as much. But this is a really great hide. It's a great spot. The Park Service who run the Jerrabomberra Wetlands do a great job of manipulating the landscape in front of the hides. So, you know, they'll put sticks out for birds to sit on. They'll cut back the reeds so there's a bit more water. Doing a little bit of fine gardening work around the front of a hide can increase the opportunity to see a range of different species. And depending on where the water level is, there'll be mud exposed as well. So the gardening that gets done in front of a hide is quite important in terms of keeping the hide an interesting spot. This hide also has a little wattle, a willow growing out on a little island nearby. And that's often a spot where birds like Nanking night herons roost. I just saw a blue wren just flit through in front of me, and it's The reason I can see it is because I can see that the parks people here have actually mowed the lawn in front of this hide and kept it open so we can see birds that are close to the hide. So again, another feature of the wetland hides at Jerrabomberra Wetlands. Some of the feature birds in Jerrabomberra Wetlands, of course, include the migratory species from internationally from Japan and from Siberia and from northern Russia, sandpipers, Latham snipe, etc. But we also have a lot of resident Australia birds, and these increase at different times. Sometimes we have a lot of them here if it's dry inland. At other times, which is what it's like at the moment, when the inland is wet, we don't have as many of those species. But really rare birds like the freckled duck, the blue-billed duck, great crested grebes, and a whole range of crakes and rails and herons. We get spoonbills here and ibis as well. So this is an amazing location, only a kilometre or two away from the Canberra airport, a kilometre or two away from the centre of Canberra. And if you happen to be going through Canberra and you want a spot to go bird watching, even for just an hour, the Jerrabomberra Wetlands is a fabulous location.